Welcome to the show. Every game, every play, every headline. Let's talk sports. Turn it up. Breaking down the action, got the fans tuned in. From the opening whistle to the final win. NHL, NFL, NBA too. Bringing all the biggest stories straight to you. Trades on the rise, playoffs in sight. Talking sports all day, every day and night. Crowd getting loud when the highlights roll. Got the hottest takes and I'm taking control. Can't slow me down, got my eyes on the game. Building this channel, making a name. Every prediction, every debate. Talking sports now, the future is great. I'm the king of the sports. Talk sing, breaking down the moments everybody's seen. From the ice to the field to the hardwood floor. Every big story, yeah, I'm bringing more. Talking sports, that's the name they know. Every week the channel continues to grow. Win or lose, I'll be making the call. If it's sports related, I'm covering it all. Trade rumors flying, let's talk about that. Who's getting moved and who's carrying the pack? Game winning goals, buzzer beaters too. Every major headline coming straight through. Stanley Cup dreams and Super Bowl nights. MVP races and championship fights. No matter the sport, no matter the team, I'm bringing the coverage and chasing the dream. Turn the volume up, let the discussion begin. Talking sports with the fans, that's a win. Every season, every battle, every score. Keeping you updated and wanting more. I'm the king of the sports. Talk scene, breaking down the moments everybody's seen. From the ice to the field to the hardwood floor. Every big story, I'm bringing more. Talking sport, that's the name they know. Every week the channel continues to grow. Win or lose, I'll be making the call. If it's sports related, I'm covering it all. Yeah. The games never stop, and neither do I. New stories every day, reaching higher in the sky. From the Vegas Strip to the Three Rivers, hear the victory call. Talking sports with the fans, covering it all. Covering it all. Yeah. Yeah. I'm the king on the court, hear the crowd go wild. Ballin' like MJ, ain't no rookie child. From the jump shot to the touchdown pass. Let go my ego, watch me outlast. Got my jersey on, #1, no debate. Crossing defenders, sealing my fate. Fans screaming loud my name in the lights. Every game I play, reaching new heights. You can't bench me now, I'm in the zone. MVP title, yeah, it's my throne. Never folding, I'm bringing the heat. Let go my ego, I never accept defeat. I'm the king, talking sports, reigning supreme. Slaying every game like it's a dream. Never let go of this ego I hold. More than enough for me and my amigos gold. From the diamond to the ice rink, I run the show. All eyes on me wherever I go. You dropped the ball, I caught it all. Save the game when I got the call. From courtside seats to packed arenas. My name's in lights, big screens, big media. Fast breaks, hat tricks, slam dunks and style. Playbook thick, maneuvers, versatile. Fans chanting my name, yeah, they know my fame. From the kickoff whistle to the victory claim. Coaches, star player, team shining jewel. Never phased, I make my own rule. Give me space, no backing down now. Pressure's on, but never throw in the towel. You being edgy just fuels my fire. Let go my ego, elevating higher. I'm the king, talking sports, reigning supreme. Slaying every game like it's a dream. Never let go of this ego I hold. More than enough for me and my amigos gold. From the diamond to the ice rink, I run the show. All eyes on me wherever I go. You dropped the ball, I caught it all. Save the game when I got the call. Yeah, I'm the champ, the ruling ace. Let go my ego. Winning every race. The sports world's mine. No time to fall. King of the game, hear my victory call. Yeah. I'm the king on the court, hear the crowd go wild. Ballin' like MJ.
Alright, never doing that again. Woo! I just had a haul all the way up here. I'm not allowed to say what just happened. I'm not going to tell anybody what happened. Let's just say, halfway through that song, I was like, oh snap. Ran downstairs. And then ran all the way up here. So, I'm kind of out of breath, I'll be honest. Welcome in, I guess. Alright. Oh my lord. Yeah, I have to. You guys are going to see me get flashbanged for probably at least twice. You just saw it once. You're probably going to see it one more time. Every time I look at the show notes, until I'm done showing you guys all of the training camp stuff, I'm probably going to get flashbanged a few times because I had to turn off my dark mode for everything. That's been no fun. But welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Just almost harmed myself, but it's alright. We're good. A lot of things going on. I was trying to find reasons to stream today. To stream at all this week. There's obviously things happening, but it just felt like there wasn't enough for me to go live. Like, we obviously have the all the stuff going on last week with the WNBA situation. Now, I have a full video on that coming tomorrow. We might touch up a little bit about it tonight, or today. But if you guys want like a full opinion or thoughts on the story, that will be tomorrow's video, probably around 10 o'clock again. So this time tomorrow there'll be a video up. As far as anything else goes, we Lord, I am dying. As far as anything else goes, there's just been a lot of signings. There's been a signing here. There's been a signing there. So now we're just going to compile all of it together. Injuries as well. I made this yesterday, but we officially have somebody who is confirmed going to be out for the season. So if you see some misprints and mistypes, that will be the case. We have a Via Vea update, which I posted in the comments of the video last night, but I will say for again today. So we have a lot of things to cover, mainly being with NFL. We are going to talk about the Hall of Fame game. That's tomorrow as well. I thought about doing a watch-along stream for that, but it's the Hall of Fame game. Who really cares, right? Like, nobody truly cares too much, but it's just fun to have football back. But we will be covering that. We'll be covering the injuries, whether they are day-to-day or season-ending, some of the contract extensions, Via Vea update, something about the NHL. We're going to look at some available free agents. Probably won't take much of this video. And the only other story that I think is big enough, besides the WNBA drama, which is also funny because Cunningham also posted something that it's like, we focus so much on non-basketball, it's crazy. And watch my video tomorrow. It's already done. It's uploaded and ready to rock. And I said the exact same thing, so I thought that was pretty funny. But Aaron Rodgers calls out Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel. I think it's a very valid crash out. So we'll talk about it. He obviously, I think no one expected him. He kept worrying about how much time was left. He was like, hey, we got 8 minutes, right? All right, I'm going to use it. And he used it for sure. He talked about Fauci and a few other things. So, we'll see how all of that goes. And maybe if we get to it later, because we know me, I don't know how to pace for shite. So we might be a little early. I'll try to look at some maybe training camp things. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into all of the fun stuff involving the contract extensions first. So let's get into it right now. So as you guys can see, we're going to be focused on this screen a lot of the time because you guys got to see my beautiful face while we stream, so why not? So here we got some contract extensions that have happened during camp. So calm down if there was a contract extension just in 2 seconds from now, or if there was contract extensions before the season. I'm not worried about it. So the Seahawks, they locked down one of their offensive linemen, biggest contract in Seahawks history. Massive extension, a big piece of that offensive line. So this is definitely a huge pickup for Seattle for already losing so many pieces this offseason to their Super Bowl team. You got to lock up one of the best players that you got. Left tackle, very important position as well on that offensive line with your quarterback. So the fact that the Seahawks get it done, very good for them. We also got Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter ends up getting and securing a 4-year extension, making him the highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL. Obviously, a lot of things come with this. There was some rumors that he was potentially going to be moved, which is definitely something to keep an eye out for still, I guess. But, I think the biggest thing about Carter since he's entered the league was his attitude and how he portrayed himself. We obviously know what happened at Georgia, why he even fell to the Eagles in the first place. I'm pretty sure if it panned out, teams would take him. And as I feel like people get more and more into the sports game, it's like you understand why GMs don't want to go for these people that are drama queens and that could be a threat, like on the organization. And luckily, Carter has not been that. You look at guys right now like Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk has been put into a situation where he just looks like a crazy person some days. So, yeah, that's something to keep an eye out for. But Jalen Carter signs his 4-year extension. He will be staying in Philly for the time being. What the hell happened there? So then, offensive god for the Atlanta gets a 4-year contract, $96 million extension, and 60 of it guaranteed. Man, what a deal! But no, like I'll be honest, like I don't think it's a bad deal at all. I actually think that I think it's very important, especially for teams that are not good right now, is that you sign the people that you want to take into the future. You know that this is going to be a position of need if, in a couple of years. Hopefully they can figure out their quarterback situation, and they were busy this offseason. Obviously right now their quarterback is the biggest question, but they kept Kyle Pitts, they kept Drake London, and we'll talk about another extension that is a headliner for this video. But Darnell Wright also signs and resets the right tackle market by signing a historic 4-year, $116 million extension with $93 million guaranteed. Huge for the Bears. Obviously, Bears are focused on their offensive line, especially with that head coach down there. They want to make sure that this is the best offensive line for their quarterback. We know how Johnson wants his teams run, but I definitely think that this was a huge move. They got their center taken care of. They really put focus on their offensive line, and if you treat them good, if you get this over with now, you can just focus on football, and hopefully that this helps the Chicago Bears for sure. I think that resetting the market is huge, especially with some right tackles needing to get extensions here in the near future. A lot of people don't understand when you reset the market, even the people that weren't going to get a lot will now get a lot because, now the goalpost is moved. So what once was the top end money is now pretty much just minor money, I guess. It's a different thing. So we'll see how a lot of right tackles that want to make some money this offseason use this as their needle mover. A big one. And since I'm a Steelers fan, I had to put this clip. I had to. My bad for Ravens fans, but I had to. Zay Flowers signed a massive 4-year extension. He is now the 4th highest paid wide receiver in the league. I'm trying to recall who was above him. The only one I could genuinely remember who was above him was JSN because he signed that historic contract this offseason. So I cannot recall. Maybe it's CD Lamb and Jamar Chase. I feel like Justin Jefferson's like way at the bottom, to be so honest. I feel like so many people get paid more than him. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'll try to double check that, fact check that later. But I mean, for the Ravens, he is your number one wide receiver. Like, this is hands down the smartest move they could make. We all know how bad he is. Like, how bad the receiving room is. And he is probably the only bright spot of that. They're still trying to find competent number one or number two wide receivers near him. And most of the time, the second target is a tight end. And now they don't have a tight end. So this is very important to lock down like a key member of your team. I have been very low on the Ravens because I feel like everyone's forgetting that not only are they bringing in a new coach similar to the Steelers, which everyone keeps dogging the Steelers on, that is why they're not going to be good this season because they brought in new coaching staffs. But I feel like if you have a new head coach, you don't know exactly what he's going to do. Lamar lost a lot. I don't know why people are still so high on this team with losing a lot of their starting offensive linemen, their biggest one being their center, which I think a lot of people undervalue the center position. They don't have a good wide receiver outside of Zay Flowers, who, let's face it, does have some drops a game, but that's okay. He makes up for it in big splash plays. They lost their 2 best tight ends since Mark Andrews because Mark Andrews isn't as good as he once was. That's just plain and simple. Let's talk about that at a different time, but we all can admit that is true. So let's see if this helps the Ravens a lot. And, whenever you're going into a contract year, like look at the Baker situation. Baker's now going into the final year of his contract, and he is now going to, not compete with it, and he's gonna either ball out and have a bad year, or he's gonna just do his thing. I'm actually, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put the ticker on, that way, just for a little bit. Then we have Chris Olave. He signed a massive extension this offseason, this training camp as well. He had a brief hold in at camp, but he is running and rolling. There was a lot of questions about Mr. Chris Olave. A lot of people last year were talking about him potentially being a trade candidate. Obviously, he has had concussion issues in the past. So that has been one of the major concerns for him. But getting this 4-year contract done is good for the Saints because the Saints are looking up. I don't think a lot of people are really talking about New Orleans. I don't know why. I don't know if they just don't trust the process, if they don't trust how good I think this team can truly be. They have Alvin Kamara. I think now they have a really good, running back duo, with Travis Etienne or Achan, wherever he likes to be called. I'm going to say Travis Etienne for the rest of my life. But, now they have a really good back duo, in the backfield. And bringing in Jordan Tyson to be across from this man as well. He has been their only receiver. So now bringing in a guy like Jordan Tyson, who, yes, the problems are the injury history. But if Jordan Tyson can be the dog that I think a lot of people think he is, this duo is going to cook on Sundays, and I think that Saints team is really starting to look up in the new era in New Orleans. And then the big one, Bijan Robinson. He becomes the highest paid running back in NFL history. Obviously, he had to jump a rookie for that number because we all know how they gave him that massive deal. But it's a 3-year extension. This is good for the Falcons for many reasons. They secure their core for a few more years, right? On offense, you have Kyle Pitts locked down, you have Drake London locked down, and now you have your running back locked down, and one of the best running backs at that. Like, Bijan, since coming into the league, has been really good. A lot of people think that, if he were to leave Falcons and go to a team, any team, he would just be a Super Bowl champion automatically. And I agree. I do agree. But what they're building in Atlanta is very solid. And I don't hate the move. I really don't. I don't hate this move. I think that it's going to, it's not going to pay off right away. I think once we get into this contract, like this year, I don't think it's going to affect it. But next year, we'll have to see what the quarterback situation is, because is Tua going to be a 1 year wonder for this team? And they'll cut him. Is the future really Michael Penix? Like right now, both those guys are hurt, so they're going in with their third stringer at camp. So this is going to be a very interesting story, but good for Bijan. Running backs really do get mistreated in the NFL, and it's good to see that he's getting paid, and the Atlanta Falcons are doing him right. We unfortunately have some season-ending injuries to add. You never like to see this in camp. You really don't. You don't like to see it at all, but especially in camp, because it feels like a wasted year. And then it's just like one of the biggest what if, and you don't hear from these guys for a year. Let's talk about some of the big ones. One of the biggest ones is Ricky Pearsall. He is undergoing surgery for an ongoing PCL injury, and this poor guy has just not been 100% in his career. This guy is going to end up being one of the most talented guys that we've never truly got to see his full potential. Because Ricky, obviously, he made that spectacular catch in college at Florida. But the problem has been his injury history. Now, obviously, the one of his first injuries isn't his fault. He obviously got shot. Still played that football season. Showed what a dog he was. But he's just dealt with injuries, whether it's just, hamstrings or anything like that. And trust me, this is not the only time you'll see two 49ers on this list. The 49ers have had so many injuries during camp, whether that's because they're training next to an electricity facility or because they just really have bad grass out there. That no wonder George Kittle keeps asking for real grass, because what the hell are we doing? I don't understand how they still haven't decided to do anything else. And then one of the worst things, a rookie getting hurt for his ACL during practice, is going to be out for the entire rookie campaign, which so sucks, because as a Steelers fan, at least one of our rookies every year doesn't make the roster because of injuries. And I can go back for a lot of years. Corey Trice was one of the first ones that I could recall. Obviously, last year, Derek Harmon and Will Howard. I was so excited to see Will Howard ball out and play. But guess what happened to Will Howard? He messed up his fingers, and then he wasn't able to be like a backup until like week 5 or whatever. Roman Wilson got hurt his rookie year, and then really never was the same, so they just never played him. I think he played like 2 snaps all of his rookie year, I think. But very sad for the rookie that had a very promising career ahead of him, and potentially a really good rookie year. You have to remember, like, Indiana, he was the MVP, I believe the defensive MVP in the national championship. So the fact that Carmel will not be able to play this season definitely puts a hole in that. And think about this kid too. He played for a full year. Like he's done training camp for college. Then he played the national football season, the national championship season. This dude's been playing football for like a year straight, and the fact that he now has to sit out for probably a year, torn ACL, that's at least 9 months. So he's gonna have a rough go. Then another rookie and a second-year man tears his ACL. One suffers an MCL tear. This sucks for both of these guys. Second year, promising second year for Nick Sorton. I feel like I butchered his name. And, for a rookie to go down with an injury, and somebody I feel like Chris Barzell had a lot of things coming good in his career. Obviously drafted. I feel like he was going to add a little bit of juice to that depth of the receiver position there. It really does suck to see these two guys go down, and for the Panthers, it's definitely not a good start to your season when you're losing two valuable young pieces to that group. This has been confirmed. It says suspected. He has now torn his ACL. I made this last night. We got the confirmation this morning. He did suffer an ACL tear doing a 2-minute drill in practice, so he will be out for the rest of the season. Unfortunately for the Atlanta Falcons and that defensive group, they will be out without one of their young pass rushers, obviously last year. And I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I also don't remember if this is the guy that had the stuff this offseason. I don't think it was him. So or maybe it was. I don't remember. All right, to go and a huge, probably the biggest piece of the puzzle for the defense of the Saints. And Brian Brees is not going to be able to play. He tore his ACL during camp and will miss the rest of the season. And this is just a tough one because he's the biggest part of that defense right now. That young defense, that young core, and a team that is trying to build to become a potential, South champion, a South contender. And the fact that they are now going to have to, somebody's got to step up into his position. And, yes, I don't think the Saints were going to rally and win a Super Bowl tomorrow, this season. I don't think it's going to happen. But to stunt a young player's development like this and to go down with an injury, just never fun. I believe this is the last season-ending injury, hopefully for the rest of this training camp, which it's starting to come to an end. We do not see any more. Unfortunately, it's the life of football. We know that injuries are going to happen, especially during the season, and we'll be updated on all that when I do multiple streams and all that fun stuff. But yeah, hopefully last one during camp. And I know now that I said that, I probably haven't checked Twitter, and there's probably a crazy injury. So here are some significant multi-week setbacks. Mike Evans, rookie Mekhi Lemons, Devontae Smith, Kobe Bryant, yes, and Christian Kirk. The two 49ers receivers, two Eagles receivers. These guys are sidelined. Obviously, as it says, week setback. This means a few things. Some of these guys might not even play preseason games. You probably would have liked to see Mekhi Lemon play a couple of games. He might be able to play one of them, but hamstrings are very, very tricky. Sometimes they can go away in just a week. Sometimes they could be, a long injury. But I think he'll be okay. We'll probably see him in a game or two. Probably not for Devontae Smith because it's the same thing. Hamstring injury. I don't think he'll be pushed hard because it's like, bro, we know what you are. You're a freaking Heisman Trophy winner. You're a dog. We know that you don't need to play those games as much as somebody like Mekhi Lemon. But definitely something to keep an eye out for. Then we have some minor concerns / day-to-days. Xavier Worthy avoided a major shoulder injury, expected to be in practice. Missed consecutive practices due to low half soreness, though the team is not is just being cautious, which is, obviously you just paid a huge price for him. You don't really want to risk a potential long-term injury. The fact that he could be out for if he hurts himself to the point where he could be missing like a huge chunk of the beginning part of the season, not good for Myles Garrett, especially coming off of the year that he did. You're going to want him at his healthiest, happiest. So, and I'm sure he's a happy man, but definitely going to want to get that health in order. A.J. Brown dislocated his thumb during practice, but popped it back into place and did not miss reps. So something to definitely keep an eye on because it's like, yes, you popped it back in, but you're still going to want to make sure because it's still going to get freaking swollen. So it's probably still a good idea to keep an eye out. And then had an injury scare, limped to the medical tent, but returned to practice 10 minutes later. That was also, I think that was like last night or 2 days ago. But I believe he is okay and back at practice. The Hall of Fame game, baby. We got the Hall of Fame game tomorrow. I don't know about you guys, but, every year I get pumped for the Hall of Fame game. And then about halfway through the game, I absolutely hate it. So I don't know if that is the same for you guys. As of right now, the Arizona Cardinals are coming in as the underdogs. The Carolina Panthers are coming in at the favorites. I don't know if we really want to talk money lines, but 35.5 total points. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think that will happen. I don't know. Some preseason games, they're either the lowest scoring games, the highest scoring games. But this game is going to be tomorrow, and we know some of the information. We're also going to talk about some of the Hall of Famers as well, because this is their day. This is their game. And then I believe on Friday, that is when they get inducted, or Saturday they get inducted. I don't honestly remember. But here are your starting quarterbacks. We know that Kenny Pickett, a guy who is competing to be the backup in Carolina, already with his fifth team in the span of a couple seasons, starting his career with Pittsburgh, getting traded to Philly where he won a Super Bowl as the backup. Then last year spent time with Cleveland and the Raiders, got some playing time with the Raiders, and ended up going to Carolina this offseason. He's played 36 games, 27 of those being starts. He has a 16-11 record. Something to definitely look at. Almost 5,000 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 5 rushing touchdowns. Kenny Pickett trying to become the guy that he once was, and he's trying to get his name back out there, because we know he's probably not going to be a starting quarterback in this league ever again, but he will definitely be competing for a backup job. And speaking of somebody who wants to start games in the future, Carson Beck, he will be starting for the Arizona Cardinals, obviously the third round pick by Arizona. Started the comeback with quarterbacks, right? He was the third quarterback taken. Obviously, we know that Fernando went number 1. Number 13 was Ty Simpson. And then obviously Beck and then Aller went later on in that round as well. But college, between Georgia and Miami, obviously won some national championships as well as a backup. Not, did play the national championship game last year. Let's not forget that. Definitely some concerns. I've seen early concerns about Carson Beck during this process in camp. I guess there's just something about his accuracy issues. So we'll see that in the game. I never trust training camp. Listen, as much as it might be cool to see the shiny new rookies making great plays and to see guys dropping passes, remember, Jamar Chase dropped passes in camp, dropped passes in preseason. The moment he stepped on a football field week 1, he was catching dimes and catching passes and scoring touchdowns. So training camp does not matter at all. Remember that. Training camp does not matter. But obviously, 55 games, he had 11,000 passing yards, 88 touchdowns, 32 receptions. So these two guys are going to be battling it out to start the season. I don't know how many games. I honestly won't be surprised if Beck gets most of this game. Beck will probably get half of this game for sure. If they dial it up anyway, he's probably, you get the first half, other guy gets the second half, right? 4th-string quarterback. I don't see them using Minshew in this. So, yeah, and then I don't really know who the backup is for Carolina. Let's talk about the Hall of Famers, because that is why we are here. That is why the Hall of Fame is such an amazing place, and they're adding 5 new people into it, and I think very much well-deserved for these guys. You look at Adam Vinatieri, one of the best kickers of all time. Listen, there's not many kickers that I truly think could be in this league or in this scenario. I don't think there's many kickers that could be in this spot. But Adam Vinatieri is probably the best one out of all of them. 4-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. He is an NFL 100 all-time team. Most field goals, getting choked up. Most field goals made in an NFL season, most post-game points in an NFL season, most overtime field goals in an NFL history. And I kept saying season is history. I don't know how to read. That is okay. He made 599 field goals. Just kind of annoying that he couldn't get one more. I don't know. He had some games where he shanked some, but hey, that's just the life of kicking. 874 extra points. 2,673 career points, which I still believe he is the all-time. Uh, yeah, it's right there. He is the all-time leading scorer still. I did have some fun facts to say, uh, but Adam Vinatieri, more likely than not, arguably the most clutch kicker of all time in NFL history. The fact that these guys are, now, I mean, you could think about so many guys that are automatic. I mean, obviously, before the things that came out about Justin Tucker was one of those guys that a lot of people were like, yo, like, he's a dog. Like, he's a guy who's automatic. He never missed a kick. And, obviously, towards the tail end of that, a couple years, he missed more. You look at Chris Boswell. Like, Chris Boswell's pretty automatic. There's going to be a couple games that he misses maybe an extra point, and maybe once or twice he'll miss a field goal. But Boswell's a pretty solid kicker over the last few seasons, so maybe they can get their way into the Hall of Fame one day. But Adam Vinatieri just definitely deserves. He's will go down as probably the best kicker, even if more kickers get into it. But 4-time Super Bowl champion, hard to beat that. And okay, I should specify this before we go on. I put the team's logos on top, and it was very difficult to put some on because I whatever I read, I put them on. Notice that some of them might look bigger than others. That is on number one, either on accident, or number two, I did it on purpose. I didn't want to put two logos for Drew Brees, but I ended up doing it, just so you know. But I didn't like it. Roger Craig spent most of obviously made his career with the Super Bowl championship teams with Montana and Jerry Rice. You obviously an offensive player of the year in 1988. First player in NFL history to have 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards in the same season. That was 1985. First team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 8,000 rushing yards, almost 5,000 receiving yards, 73 touchdowns, and over 13,000 yards from scrimmage. Roger Craig is going into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, also spent some time with the Raiders and the Vikings, but obviously everybody's going to know him for his San Francisco run. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, yes, you might have played with more teams, but where did you genuinely make your Hall of Fame career? Some guys, they do it with both, right? Like, you could think of a couple, I mean, Tom just adds on to his legacy with the Bucks, but I think we all know, like, it's the team he made his name with was the Patriots. When J.J. Watt goes in, I think it's next year, he was a same thing. He, at the tail end of his career, he went to Arizona, but we all could agree he's a Texan. That's where he made his name. That's where he became a dominant defensive player. So I don't think we could argue about that at all. Something about changed. Roger Craig changed how teams use running backs, as they could be both dominant runners and passers. That is definitely something that has been an important change into the league, right? Like, a lot of people just thought running backs could only do two things: either block for the quarterback or run the ball. But being able to pass to a running back gives you another option on the field, makes you, have some plays where maybe they can go out, block, and, you can get a little short pass and run. You think of guys like Christian McCaffrey, you guys think about Saquon, and even Jinty, guys like those, like, they got utilized in the backfield not only in the rushing game but in the receiving game, and it ended up working out. So the fact that this was one of the first ever running backs that ever kind of changed the game to becoming a dual threat receiving and rusher is awesome. Just to be one of the pioneers for that. Luke Kuechly, one of the best players of all time, retired at just 28 years old, but is still a first ballot Hall of Famer because everyone knew what he did. Like, this man was one of the most dominant players in the NFL when he was there. Like, we all think of TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby now, You think of the lockdown corners, you think of some of them like Fred Warner. This man was better than a lot of other players in his position, and it was hands down the truth. 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time first team All Pro. He won the Defensive Player of the Year a year after he won the Rookie of the Year. Led the NFL in tackles twice. Helped lead Carolina to Super Bowl 50. And he is a guy on this list that we need to talk about a little more. Listen, we all know that Super Bowl could have gone anyways. And his Super Bowl ring, really, the guy who affected that was Peyton Manning in that Denver Broncos. A lot of people could argue, like, no, he shouldn't be on here, but he dominated so much. And Luke Kuechly was the leading drive to that Super Bowl team, especially on defense. It started with him. And I think that it obviously sucks that he never won that Super Bowl. There's so many great players that just never end up winning the ultimate prize. But I always say that getting into the Hall of Fame without winning a ring is always just as impressive. Because you think about Tom, like, Tom's going to be going in because of his Super Bowl ring. And that's not like just that's going to get taken out of context, because if you guys like, I definitely think that he's going to make it no matter what, but it's like the Super Bowl rings help you get in. Like, when there's Big Ben is going to be probably argued if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, especially with the stuff he did. There's the alleged stuff that happened to him, the scandals that he's a bad player or whatever, even though many people said he was a good player or a good teammate. I think that's one of the biggest things for me. I just wonder, how that works out. But Luke Kuechly, clean player, and I just think that this honor is a lot, and I think it makes up for losing the Super Bowl and not winning the Super Bowl, because it's not just honor, right? Obviously, you see his career stats there. Very happy for Luke Kuechly. Now we got to talk about the two headliners, in my opinion. Larry Fitzgerald. And one of these guys, one thing you love to see when I was making this was that I only had to put one logo. This man could have gone out to the end of his career and chased the Super Bowl. He really could have. He could have gone to any team. Larry Fitzgerald could have asked his team for a trade. He could have said, you know what, I want to go. I don't want to be here. I want to be a champion. But he wasn't. He wasn't like that. He is an 11-time Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro, 2-time second team All-Pro, won the Walter Man of the Year in 2016, the NFL Man of the Year finalist multiple times. Just shows you what he was like off the field. Whenever you see that Walter Man Award, and listen, a lot of guys are great off the field. That's why there's so many guys nominated every year. But when you truly win that award, it's like you could tell that this guy loves his community, loves any community, no matter where he's at, and just wants to help out. Holds the NFL playoff record for receiving yards in a single postseason, and one of the most reliable receivers ever, with more tackles than drop passes for much of his career. The fact that that is a stat is the most incredible thing and telling about Larry Fitzgerald. It's similar to Luke Kuechly. Had a Super Bowl taken away from him by Santonio Holmes and Ben Roethlisberger. That's the biggest thing. He's probably a part of the most legendary Super Bowl of all time. Larry Fitzgerald is probably a part of the best Super Bowl of all time, but he just didn't walk out the victor. And it sucks. It sucks because at the end of the day, we want to see success. At the end of the day, we would have all loved to see him win a Super Bowl. But, Unfortunately, he was on the other side of Santonio Holmes and Ben Roethlisberger with the greatest catch and pass of all time. Probably of Super Bowl history, but probably in NFL history, because that changed a lot. And I definitely think Larry Fitzgerald, it sucks that he never won a ring, but one of the things that I've always loved about certain players is their loyalty. And Fitzgerald had that. He had loyalty. He never wanted to play with any other organization, and he really just he wasn't going to go Super Bowl hunting. And I think that that's something the Cardinals always appreciated. Um, and even though there were some dark times where the teams were super bad, he still came in every day and still kicked butt and was still one of the best receivers. Um, good for Fitzgerald. I'm happy he made it. And now the true headliner. I know everyone's going to be like, the Chargers. That's why I put that picture right up there, because we all know where he made his career. Everybody could argue that Drew Brees is one of the best stories in the NFL, and in my personal opinion, we're going to spend some time on Drew here. I absolutely always loved Drew Brees. In my era, I guess, I had different childhood quarterbacks around the same time retire. There's only one more left now. Because with Russell Wilson gone, there's actually two guys, Stafford and Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron's gone after this year. So Stafford's going to be the last guy from my time watching football. I loved watching guys like Drew Brees. I loved watching Ben, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning for the little time that I got to watch him. You see all these great guys, but one of my favorites was always Drew Brees. Someone that if the Steelers weren't going to the Super Bowl, I wanted this guy to go and win a Super Bowl. Drew Brees is probably one of the best humans, and just it showed off the field, but you could tell he was one of the best teammates to ever have. 13-time Pro Bowler, an MVP in the Super Bowl, and obviously a Super Bowl champion. 2-time Offensive Player of the Year in 2011 and 2008. Walter Payton Man of the Year in 2006. Comeback Player of the Year in 2004. Led the NFL in passing yards 7 times, most ever. Led the NFL in completion percentages 6 times. Led the NFL in passing touchdowns 4 times. NFL passing rating leader twice. First player to throw 80,000 passing yards. Retired with the NFL records for career passing yards, completions, and completion percentage. Many since broken, and I believe Tom broke a couple of those. I think Tom broke a couple of those the very next year that Drew Brees retired. Obviously, it helps me play a longer time. And then he is a Saints all-time leader in virtually every passing category, similar to guys like Ben, similar to guys like Tom. These guys were the franchise. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people, yes, we talk about how Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and hopefully they definitely get to the point where, hey, they're going to break every stat possible in the quarterback position in their franchise, right? But when you look at Ben, Drew, Peyton, all these guys that helped their teams, and Drew, you have to think about Drew too. He was where he was playing. Yes, he started his career in San Diego. Jeez, that's my bad. San Diego obviously gets hurt, and the Saints give him an opportunity. We all know the story that he could have potentially been a Miami Dolphin, but he ends up going to the Saints, and it changed his career. And obviously, he holds a Super Bowl now, and nobody could ever take that away from him. And he's probably changed the passing game for being considered a too short quarterback. So a lot of people will sit here and say Drew Brees wasn't that good. No, Drew Brees was great. Yes, would I probably rather have certain quarterbacks in certain situations? Maybe. But I don't think any of Drew Brees' losses were ever truly Drew Brees' fault. You think about, obviously, the stuff with the Rams. You think about some of the other games that he was absolutely hosed on. But man, that's football. That's football, baby. You're not going to be successful, and you think about how, like I've mentioned, this man was playing in an era that it was difficult, no matter where you were. Like, you know, that's the problem. Like his era of quarterbacks is huge. The fact to win one is amazing because you have to think about that. What happens if Lamar? What happens if a guy like Lamar or a guy like um, Josh Allen never win a Super Bowl? You know, they're gonna be kind of like labeled as like a Philip Rivers. So definitely something to keep an eye out for uh, as time goes on. But I definitely think that Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and definitely deserves everything. Um, I'm happy he made it to the Hall of Fame. I think we all knew. I think we all knew. I could finally darken this. I think we all knew he was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think we all knew that. I don't think a lot of people truly believed that he wasn't going to. Oh my gosh, flashback! Truly wasn't going to make it. So now, now that that's over, what? I don't want. I am not going to. But we have a couple things to talk about. Off topic. By the way, something I didn't think about. Um, with the Bijan Robinson situation. Actually, let me get this up so you guys. I don't know what that noise was, but the Bijan Robinson situation. Uh, he obviously extends, right? But something to keep an eye out for. Jahmyr Gibbs, guys like him, Jonathan Taylor, they're going to be asking for contracts. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be one of the most intriguing ones. I feel like he's going to be asking for a ton of money. But watch out for Jahmyr Gibbs because he will be asking for a contract here very soon. Especially because something to remember is that I believe he's in the same draft class. Um, I think he was number like 12, and what's his face was number 8. So there's some minor news before we get into that took a decent portion of the what I like. So we're gonna we still are gonna talk about the Aaron Rodgers stuff. We are gonna talk now. Let's talk about like some of the little stuff. I think the Aaron Rodgers stuff could be a good caveat, and then we could try to find stuff. But this was some breaking news that ended up happening. The college football team at Akron uh, is going to let one fan call an opening drive. Now, here are the rules if you are interested in the Akron Zips football. Offensive coordinator of the game. One lucky fan will be able to script the opening drive in our home opener. Extra chance to win with every season ticket holder you refer. Random drawing among season ticket holders. Drawing will be held on August 19th. So actually, they not a lot of time. Not a lot of time to figure that out. But hey, that's business, baby. A lot of people have obviously criticized this move. A lot of people have jokingly said that this is stupid. Here's my thoughts on it. If you know you're not winning a national championship, it don't matter. If you know Akron ain't winning a national championship. So if they can win this, if and who hey, imagine they score an opening drive touchdown. That's something that I don't think many people are talking about. What happens if he scores an opening drive touchdown? Or she, like what if there's a fan, right? There's a fan, and it's gonna be somebody. And I'm curious. So like they get to draw it up. So does that mean they have to like make their own playbook, or do they get the playbook? Like I'm confused. Like so, like are you as an offensive coordinator going to give the playbook to a fan? It's like I don't know if I trust that. I don't think I'm just gonna give a random fan an opportunity to look at my playbook. We got some breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Hold on. We got some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Hold up. We got breaking news. Oh my goodness, I didn't think we were ever going to get breaking news while I was live. I've had a breaking news a couple of times while I've been live in the past. I do not see it on here, so that is just grand effing-tacular. What the hell? I see a Dr. Pepper milkshake, but I don't see the damn breaking news. Yo, Adam Scheffner, Ian Rappaport, what are we doing? Are we sleeping? Adam! Oh, I think he's on Pat's show. Alright, I'll just tell you guys the information because no one's posting it. The Commanders have signed wide receiver Stephon Diggs. He is going to be going over to the Washington Commanders. So the Commanders, needing some wide receiver help, land themselves, I think, a very solid wide receiver. So obviously they lose Deebo Samuel. He returns back to the good old 49ers. So now he's going to have an opportunity to be that second guy. You know, you obviously know Scary Terry's going to be the number one option, but I think what we saw from Stephon Diggs last year was awesome, right? That was great things to see. So here we go. Finally, thank you, Ian. But here is the official report. At full healthy, Diggs is ready to hit the ground running with a key weapon in the third year. So definitely a good option, solid option for the third year quarterback, Jaden Daniels. So good for them. I had a feeling. I was like, hey, maybe you should scroll your phone real quick. I have an idea, because there's sometimes where I check Instagram because sometimes Instagram is a little faster with their breaking news. What my source is, tell me. But yeah, no, fun things. So let's get back to what I was saying. Now that we know that Stephon Diggs is going to the Commanders. Yeah, if you guys want to, script a play at Akron, go ahead, man. That I think that is awesome. You have to be a season ticket holder, but I think this is cool. The biggest thing about this is everyone's gonna watch Akron's game. I'm gonna watch Akron's game because the fact of the matter is like if you're telling me I could watch this game, if they number one, because everyone will be judging how that first play goes. And we also have to remember, will the quarterback be throwing audibles? Is the QB going to throw audibles? Because if they are, that's something interesting. So, no comment. I'm not going to comment on that. So, that is the biggest thing going into this. So we got some other stuff. I could remove that now. That's the thing I've been doing lately is that I can just remove news. Oh, damn it! I meant to mention this during the Hall of Fame game. So LaFleur has said, Mike LaFleur, I should have specified that. Jeremiah Love will be one of the many players that are not going to be playing. So if you are expecting tomorrow night that the third overall pick in Jeremiah Love was starting, he will not start. He will not play. We could expect this. If we all know, you're not going to start your starting quarterback in a Hall of Fame game, especially because I think a lot of people forget, Hall of Fame games, a lot of people don't like to send their stars in. Obviously, they didn't play Caleb Williams a couple years ago. Who was in it last year? Jacksonville in the Bay. No, it was. I don't remember. I genuinely don't remember who was in it last year, but it's every year I think people expect it to be some amazing guy to play. I remember when the Steelers did it, Najee Harris only, him and Micah Parsons, it was exciting that both of them were in it, but they were only in for a couple of downs. Micah Parsons was in for a little bit and then taken out immediately. Only played a couple downs. Najee Harris only played a little bit, did not play a lot, and then was taken out. For a running back, especially someone that you're expecting to be a very high volume type running back, and he's going to take some hits. Running back is one of those positions you don't want to see get hit all the time, or they get hit all the time, so you don't want to get them unnecessary hits in preseason. So just something to keep an eye out for. I'm sure he's gonna play this preseason, just not tomorrow. A little update about the Jeremy Jeez Louise, what is going on with my voice right now? The players that were paid above Zay Flowers. So Zay Flowers, as I mentioned earlier, is the fourth highest paid. Drake London, who got his contract this offseason. Jamar Chase and Jackson Smith and Jigba are above them. Flowers now makes the same as Justin Jefferson and makes more than CeeDee Lamb. Interesting. Interesting. So yeah, good for him. He got his contract, and he's the number one on a team, so that's something. Okay, there's some other news I would like to no, we already talked about the Dodgers the other day. I'm really trying to focus on some other things. I liked so many and saved so many pictures because I was preparing for a potential scenario where I was going to be talking about them in a different way. But all right, so here are some things. I don't know if people saw this. Jerry Jones talked about potentially tinting the windows at Jerry's World, and I actually think that I hope he does this. I really hope he does. And yeah, let's watch. Let's take a gander, shall we?
Well, do you know something? Thinking about it and doing something about it are two different things.
For you, if you think about it, you could do something about it.
I think about it. It's hard to tell that time of the year because the sun's not the same this time of the year that it is in the fall. And that is, you get on into sun changes, and the angle of that sun changes from September through the year round. As we look at it, I like some of the effects of the tinting. And so we're giving that a thought.
You're not thinking about the curtains?
This is smart. And by the way, good education by Jerry Jones. Yes, very true. And now it makes me wonder if he's only knows this information because they told him, why is the sun always in our face? Because why would we have built it if that's the case? So he's 100% accurate. So for those that don't know, and another reason why I don't think daylight savings will change much, because you're going to lose time and you're going to lose the sun no matter what because of how the time changes, right? So the Earth tilts a certain time every single year. That is one of the reasons why daylight savings time is even a thing, because obviously then if you reset the clocks, technically you're waking up, all that stuff. That's something like this. That's the science to it. If you guys don't know the true science of daylight savings time, yes, I understand. It sucks sometimes when you're waking up and it's pitch black outside. You're like, bro, it is midnight. It's like, no, this is normal. So it's like, yes, I understand. Like, this is more for farmers and it helps them. But no, either way, if you get rid of daylight savings time, all you're doing is that the sun is just still going to tilt. The Earth still changes. So the sun, I keep saying the sun tilts. The Earth is shifting and changing. So you are going to automatically, there's a reason why there's a certain time of year where Alaska, it is pitch black for some odd days straight, 150 days straight. It is just dark because of the way the Earth tilts and moves. So if you guys don't know the true science on that, look it up. So Jerry's not really lying here, but it is something funny that's come on, Jerry, I don't even know how you built that shit. And it's it got up. No, I don't want to talk about that yet. I don't know, because I just don't know when we're going to fit the hockey stuff in, because I feel like we should start talking about, all right, I kind of want to start talking about this WNBA stuff, but let's try to get one baseball thing in here. This is something people are overblowing about Justin Herbert. So this video came out of his girlfriend, I believe now fiance, Madison Beer. And I'll be honest, and maybe this might be just me, because I don't like people touching me. if somebody was touching my face like this, I would get fucking irritated. That is just me. I don't know if that is just like it's probably just me. But here's my thing on this. This man's not winning an MVP or a Super Bowl this year. And people might be like, "What are you talking about, David?" Let's be honest. All the great quarterbacks hate their wives. Look at Patrick Mahomes. You tell he could hate his wife. Remember those videos came out courtside? He was like, bro, this girl's annoying. And then she had those videos. She was like, I have resting bitch face. And then she was like, made that dumb face on camera. Like, that's his wife. You look at Tom. Tom Brady doesn't even have a wife anymore because that's how much that she hated him. And vice versa. So it's like, hey, to be great, you got to have your heart broken. And maybe they get broken up and boom, Chargers are going to win 3 Super Bowls. But no, truly, I'm messing around. But I don't. There's something, and I'm a part of the problem. I am a part of the problem where people take things and misconstrue things, and Aaron Rodgers talked about it. Like, we take the stupidest things and use them as a talking point. I just feel like this genuinely, if you're talking about a guy who's not focused. And I know, like, well, yeah, he's not focused now. It's training camp. But once we get into the season, it's just like, yeah. You also have to talk about a support system, right? Like Baker Mayfield's wife seems very supportive. And the thing that I feel like she does, she trusts him to make decisions for the future of their lives. Because he plays hurt. He played hurt all of last season. You're telling me that person caressing his ear is going to be okay if he gets hurt and he's like, oh yeah, I think I could play on it. Hell no! That is just, am I the only person that thinks that? Maybe, but I feel like that is something we should take into consideration here. Like, what are we talking about? All right, here's something. The Orlando Dreamers, a private group aiming to bring MLB to Orlando, has released renderings on what a stadium could development could look like. And when I tell you, this is so effing beautiful. Here is what it looks like, and I know what you guys are thinking. What in the hell? It looks like an award. It looks like a baseball award if somebody were to give this out, right? Well, no. It's a baseball stadium, and I absolutely love this feature. And one of my favorite things, it doesn't look like every other freaking stadium in any other sport. What drives me nuts about football is every time you see new renderings come out, it feels like you are just watching the same old renderings, just with different colors. But I really, truly love this. I hope they do this because this is so different. Having it like be this like long like area where it's basically just going to be like a big hangout spot. I actually think this would be beautiful. And then obviously like you have a little green area that yes, your view is like, I hope these tickets are cheap as shit because how many people are fitting in this is the biggest question. But like that, this is the big rendering. So obviously this is the big little tortoise. I genuinely feel like this is small. It's a little bigger, but I don't think it's crazy compared to what the A's are building right now. So take that for what you will, but just still something to keep an eye out for. I think now we could start talking about the. I'm going to talk about football just a couple more times. So we know that Aaron Donald is eyeing future in media as he weighs the potential to return. The Super Bowl champion is in the process of developing in a sign of management to grow his business, brand, partnerships, and profile. I feel like Aaron Donald, I feel like if he made a podcast, it would work, but I also don't. But I think that, like, I always think that a lot of guys, if they just want to be themselves, they should just go to Pat's show. But I just don't think Pat wants to bring in all these ex-football players. But, like, Aaron Donald, I think he would bring in. Then the only other thing is the Rams will reportedly arrive in Australia. the day before their Week 1 matchup against the 49ers. And obviously this is important. And something I heard from J.J. Watt. Now, this is for London. I believe he said the team that leaves the latest not always, but statistically they have a better chance at winning if they leave the latest, which is intriguing. So, the Rams will arrive the day before their Week 1 game, and I'm going to say right now, I don't know. I don't know what I was going with that. So I need to get the clips up, but we have our boy Aaron Rodgers. Listen here, Aaron. We got to talk. Aaron Rodgers had some things to say. And no matter what people say, oh shoot, Pat is live right now because I'm trying to get Pat onto Pat's show. But a lot of people saw Pat McAfee's comment, saw Aaron Rodgers' comment. And listen, Aaron Rodgers is his own person, is his own human. But Aaron Rodgers likes to stir the pot. But we got to talk about what he said. Hold up. I'm going to try to go to it. So, obviously, he talks about Mr. Tony. So I'm trying to see where it is at. Sorry, y'all. Oh, here we go. So here was his initial comments of when he said it. This was Aaron Rodgers alluding to Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel. Oh, shit. How much time? And I just realized you guys didn't hear a single word that I said because I'm a terrible streamer. Golly!
And where's your camera? In a minute.
Here we go.
Did they do even a minute? Did they do even a minute on Tony Fauci?
No, I don't think I've heard
I
anything.
bet they didn't.
Let's do Tony
And there was
Fauci.
another scandal this offseason, too, involving a voter for MVP, for Coach of the Year. How much time did your network spend? Where's your camera? Did your network spend on that?
Our network?
I wish
How much time did you spend?
This is awesome.
Okay. Go back to Fauci?
Yeah.
Go back to the...
So, oh my God, Aaron. Here are my thoughts on what he said. He's not wrong. I don't think anything Aaron Rodgers said in this was wrong. I don't think Aaron Rodgers... The fact is, Aaron Rodgers has every single right to come at an organization, to come at these people like ESPN who always come at him. How many times did Aaron Rodgers have scrutiny about him during COVID? How many times did he get reported on for this, that, and the other? How much do they spend on saying how much of a weirdo Aaron is? They talk about his family. They talk about this. They talk about his livelihood. They talk about, is his wife even real? This is stuff the media ends up talking about in ESPN. And I 100% agree with Aaron Rodgers here. Why is it that this is the biggest story, by the way? This Diana Rossini stuff is by far the biggest story of all time during the offseason that isn't involving football. Like straight football players. It should have been one of the most talked about things. I saw a clip yesterday, I think it was on the, what's his name? Coach JB. Coach JB has a show. And he had a man on there that was saying that, how is it that ESPN could talk about Tiger Woods' infidelities? How can he talk about Tiger Woods' infidelities for a week straight, talking about how he likes effing girls here, effing girls here. And they don't have the balls to just say, hey, by the way, Diana Rossini was Mike Vrabel, and allegedly, knowing that there was an investigation, she was fired because what was the biggest problem about the Diana Rossini thing? And I think a lot of people don't understand why it is a bigger deal than what a lot of people are making it out to be. I'm going to tell you why it's a big deal. Because the fact that she does have, they have MVP votes, and no matter if it's Mike Vrabel or whatever, they both have power in this situation. They both have power to do things. If you have a vote in any which way, which I believe coaches have votes on certain things in the league as well. So it's just like, what are we talking about here? I think it is so disrespectful to even think about how a guy like Mike Vrabel, and to think that he can't even be talked about in this situation. Yes, I understand. Well, both of them have families. I believe both of them have kids. I don't care. Aaron Rodgers and his family didn't have to deal with all the BS that you guys spewed on him. Tiger Woods has kids. You didn't care when you were talking crap about him. They have to talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce all the damn time in their relationship. They get to talk about every other person's personal life on ESPN and on every other, big network. Why is it that they could talk about that, but when it comes to a reporter, it has to be hush-hush? Why? It shouldn't be. It should be reported on because it affected a lot. Why did everyone know that it was the worst kept secret in the NFL that we all knew that A.J. Brown was going to be a Patriot? Why? Because there was an inside scoop. Who had the scoop? Diana Rossini. So who would she have gotten that information from? Mike Vrabel. And who would have gotten bro? That is like, oh my God, it drives me nuts because there's no way in hell that we could all be sitting here and acting like Aaron Rodgers is the bad guy for calling this out. No. And I had people commenting on my short when I posted about this. Hell no. Don't be coming at my comment section to tell me Aaron Rodgers is a doofus, is an idiot. No, he's speaking facts. The fact that these players get scrutinized, they can scrutinize a college player for making a mistake early on in his life, but they can't own up to it when he becomes a good person later. They don't care about that. They care about if you are a juicy player that are like, oh, he's a 5-star, 4-star recruit that goes to this college, and oh, guess what? He did this. He allegedly did this. He got arrested here, which then tanks their draft stock, which then can tank the rest of their goddamn careers, which we already know the NFL is one of the shortest things you could ever play in because it's like a 3-year window. Because, that's really when teams give you. Teams will give you a 3-year window, and if you don't make it, you're going to break it, and you're going to get out of the league. It is that simple. The fact that ESPN has the right, and I guess this is a thing. I guess ESPN executives are crossing their fingers hoping that Aaron Rodgers doesn't make the Super Bowl. If this is true, by the way, this is crazy. Looking ahead on the minds of ESPN, is most are crossing their fingers that the Pittsburgh Steelers don't reach the Super Bowl. ESPN is broadcasting the game, and having Rodgers in that would create a number of challenges for securing interviews and behind the scenes. No. Number one, behind the scenes, yes, because Aaron Rodgers isn't that type of person. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to do that. And yes, he just called you out on the network. The only person he will probably sit down with and securing an interview with is Pat McAfee. That is his buddy, his friend, because he knows that Pat's going to be real. He's not going to ask him any BS questions. So, yeah, you could sit here and say that you hope that he doesn't make the Super Bowl, but you could also just look and just sit down. Also, Mr. Fauci, with his comments, his lawyer responded on Monday saying that Aaron doesn't know what he's talking about. He should be sticking to football. No, I think Aaron does know what he's talking about because everything is public of the information that he spoke. But yeah, this is a big deal to me because I do believe that Aaron is just absolutely. And here, we'll watch a longer clip about it.
Maybe used to work at ESPN that covers our league at the highest level, and there's a major scandal.
This is the highest.
And
quality.
it's just like nobody can fucking talk about it. What are we even doing
personal
here?
lives are personal lives. I feel like you of all people should know that. But
I understand, but if it's affecting certain things, if there's leaks going on, if there's tampering going on, if that person is also an MVP voter and a Coach of the Year voter. Remember when I won MVP in 2021?
Yeah,
and that bum in Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's real life. Like, how are we allowing these people to have an impact?
Pornhub Arkush is what we call it.
Arkush, I remember he had a name. Okay, so on that note, good for you, man. Hey, actually.
That maybe 8.
I told these boys I was bringing it today.
Did you tell Bert that?
Bert, the reason why I know this,
oh my gosh! Real quick update. It's a 1-year deal, $12 million for the Commanders. It's the Stephon Diggs. That is the contract. That is out. Man, I don't think I'm more passionate about anything else than this, because yes, that's my quarterback. But no, like, even before, I've always liked Aaron. Now, yes, do I think some of the things he does is weird, like the ayahuasca stuff and all that? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think that I think it's weird. But hey, everyone does their own thing, right? And how can you be one of those people that are like, oh, well, you gotta take everything into consideration, this, that, and the other? It's like, nah, bro. Like, I truly think that that's some BS. So yeah, I want to save a lot of the WNBA stuff for later, because I want to kind of tie it into my video that I made. It's already done. It's like ready to post. I can post it now, but I'm gonna do it tomorrow since I know it's streaming. Here's some stuff about hockey. They're changing a rule. A new rule for junior or the NHL is over. Sorry, I was talking about NFL for a long time. Now I gotta switch up. One of the hockey's oldest development restrictions is changing. For years, a 19-year-old drafted from the CHL, who was not ready for the NHL, usually had to return to junior, even if he had already outgrown that level. The AHL was genuinely not available as the middle step. Beginning in 2026-2027, that's this year, eligible 19-year-old CHL prospects can be assigned to the AHL, allowing NHJ's Louise David, NHL organizations to move select top prospects into professional hockey sooner. 18-year-olds remain ineligible. The rule could prevent talented teenagers from being rushed into the NHL simply because returning to juniors is the only alternative. But it could also pull star players away from the CHL teams earlier, removing major attractions from junior markets across Canada. The NHL finally creating a middle ground for elite prospects. The CHL may be the league paying. Something to keep an eye out for. I know a lot of people don't really care about juniors, but it's a big thing in the development. So this came out yesterday, and of course it came out after I already posted my video. Now, to be fair, I made the video the day before. I mostly make these videos the day before. Sometimes I just post them, like that. The Dodgers one I made in post, but I also tried to make it the night before, but it just I didn't like the quality. But we got an update about Vita Vea. This is huge in my opinion. So contract talks between the Buccaneers and Vita Vea have completely just deteriorated. Right? It's not gonna happen. That's not the word they use, but it's okay. That's the word I'm using. Vea is now completely dug in on leaving Tampa Bay. Now this is crazy to me. I don't know what must have happened if they were lowballing the hell out of him, but to tell your defensive star, "Hey, bub, thank you, but get the fuck out," is kind of crazy. It says a trade now is likely over the next month, because obviously let's get this done before the season. Now we all know he prefers a California team. I don't think the team really cares what the hell he wants. I think that the biggest team to look out for is the Raiders, because they did already request a trade, or they've already put in a request. But you have to look around teams around the league who could also be very intrigued and might also just say, you know what, we would like him on our squad. So I believe that is it for that football stuff. So let's talk a couple of hockey talk, and then uh, oh no, yeah, left. Uh, so we're gonna talk about some of the free agents in the NHL that are still left. At this point, most of them are probably gonna get PTOs. But here's something that I have talked about a couple of times. And should the NHL implement this rule? Oh, you guys will see that. So it's basically the picture is speaking to an NHL exec. He suggests if a player negotiate a no trade or a no move clause in their contract, but then request to be traded prior to the expiration of their deal, the no trade no trade clause should be voided, and the team should be allowed to trade that player to any team in the league. And I truly think that this is so accurate. The no trade clause is supposed to save you and help you from a move that you don't necessarily want. So, an example, a no trade clause works in Vegas because, or a no movement. These work in Vegas. Well, why do they work in Vegas but they don't work anywhere else? Well, it's actually quite simple now, let me tell you. The reason why it's simple is because for the NHL, right, if you want to be a part of, let's just use one of these teams as an example. So let's use Dylan Larkin as an example, and let's use Tomas Hertl as an example. So Vegas has a no movement clause, or it's a no trade clause, but it's a team no trade clause. So there are a couple teams he could get moved to, other than waiving his no trade clause. The team can only trade him to those certain spots. But if Tomas Hertl then said, you know what, I want to be traded, then it opens it up. But for somebody like Larkin, it's like you don't have a no movement clause, and now you're giving them 3 teams that you want to go to, but you're the one requesting a trade. Like, if you're not requesting a trade, you shouldn't have to give up your right, if you're requesting the trade, you should give away the right in your contract to not be moved. That is my opinion. I think that it is a strong thing, and I think that will be something that they fight for. Because, like, think about this. Like, some guys fight for that in their contracts. Riley Smith, I mean, he was traded from Vegas after the Cup year. Went to the Rangers, then went to Pittsburgh, then went to the Rangers, then got traded back to Vegas. And then, he signed a 1-year deal in Vegas, and he was like, hey, man, I want a extension. Like, I want an extension here, but I'm not going to I'll take like $2 million for 1 year. And also, I want a no movement clause. I don't want to be moved again. And then guess what? Vegas can't move him, especially if he doesn't request a trade. So I believe that is the right thing to do. I think that the NHL should look into it. I think that it should be a new rule. I think that giving teams a little more of the power is needed. I think I have to get into the. I think I got to get into the nasty stuff. Unfortunately, there was the sick play by Joe Burrow. We'll talk about that, and then we'll get into some of the nasty stuff. Let me double check. We got through that. We got through that. We got through all of that. I'm looking at my show notes right now. We got through that, and we got one more. I made sure that I had one more thing that just in case. I load my stuff up just in case, because over the last couple of times we've had struggles getting towards the end. So here's the clip with Joe Burrow, Joey B in the build. That's a lot for that's a lot of fake stuff to throw a 5-yard play. I mean, it is what it is, but just, working on some trickery. We all know that people pay attention to that ball. So, some other stuff, Drew Allard has completely changed his motion. A lot of people think that Drew Allard actually might be the best quarterback in this draft class. Obviously, outside of Mendoza.
Wait a minute.
Ooh, I caught that. I caught that. I was like, wait a minute. So this was February at the Combine, his throwing motion, and then we knew that during the rookie mini camp, they were changing his motion. And the thing about Drew Allard is his arm. His arm is very, very talented. And a lot of people say, and I agree, it's the strongest in the class. So that's huge. That is huge for them. So, all right, let's talk about the meat and potatoes. I don't really want to talk about this too much, but controversial. Let's open it up with something nice. Let's talk about this awesome play by Chelsea Gray, guard for the Las Vegas Aces. He had an amazing half court behind the pass, or behind the back pass. Just a beautiful play. Look at that. Just beautiful play.
Pass by Chelsea Gray.
She's
There was a
just
reason they called her the point god.
She is so dang talented. It is unbelievable. Now that brings us into our next story. Stephen A. Smith has been on the side of Sophie Cunningham, and as I'm going to mention and restate my case. If you guys want the full basis on the story, I'm not going to get too much into it here because I've already made a video and it's going to be out tomorrow. So if you guys want to hear the full story, go and watch it. Like, remember this information and then remember tomorrow's video. Stephen A. posted, you can support people's rights and believe biological men shouldn't compete in women's sports. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Obviously this is a very touchy subject on multiple fronts, right? I have making that video was very hard yesterday because I knew that if I made a slip up, and I think I actually had a slip up in one thing, but it wasn't meant to be hateful. It wasn't me trying to be a jerk. It wasn't me trying to, cause anybody harm or anything like that. And I feel like this is such a touchy topic because I feel like a lot of people they get really fast on the, hey, let's blame somebody game. And it's tough. It is a tough boat or cross to bear, and a tough place to be in. Here was Stephen A's full tweet. If anybody was interested, here was his full tweet. Not backing down from this one. You can support people's rights and believe biological men shouldn't compete in women's sports. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. My issue isn't hate. It's protecting women, protecting girls, and asking why a WNBA coach chose to inject herself into a controversy that could hurt the very least she's supposed to represent. Common sense still matters, and that's where I stand. My full marks are on YouTube, and we will see this in a second. And this is going to be my first time saying this, actually. So I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Listen, everyone is okay with. I'm okay with everyone's opinion, and I made this known in yesterday's video. Listen, man. I'm okay with that. Like, I believe that both sides make valuable arguments. As somebody who's watched women's sports for the longest time now, since 2020, before they were popular, before people thought it was cool, I remember watching it, and I remember telling people I watched it. I will always remember I went to Albuquerque one summer. It was like July 4th. It was a July 4th party, actually, and I told them that I watched the WNBA. Because they asked me what my favorite teams were, and I said the Aces. And they were like, who are the Aces? Like, the women's basketball team. Like, you watch women's basketball? Like, yeah. And they were like, what? And I've always supported women's basketball. And I love the PWHL. So excited that they got a league. I was so excited. I watch all the time. Happy that Vegas has a team. I can't wait to be able to go to games. I'm going to an Ace game in September. Can't wait for that. I believe against Atlanta. But I could be, I think it's against Atlanta. And, you know, there's nothing more than wanting to have other people be successful. I want nothing but women in sports to be successful. I support the women's volleyball team. They actually just came back. I'm happy to see that. They kind of rebranded. They look really like nice rebrand. I hope their uniforms look dope. But yeah, I support and have supported women's sports for a good minute. And I feel like I'm one of the only people that truly do. And I have been on the forefront of no one will ever know my full political party difference. And you want to know why? It's because I'm a middleman guy. I'm registered as an independent because I have an open mind about everything. I think that both sides are dumb, and I think both sides have good points. That's all I have to say to that. There's just some sides have good points, both sides have good points, both sides have bad points. It's that simple, and that's politics. And that's why I try to avoid it, because it divides everybody. Because I feel like in situations like this, it's an instant divide. If you don't agree with somebody than the other, you're either labeled as a liberal or you're labeled as a MAGA, whatever. You know, there's no middle ground. There's no, I'm just a human being. And I think I even said this in my video yesterday, and I could be wrong, but I said a few things that these people have said that I actually I think I said in my video. But listen, everyone is a human being at the end of the day. And I do believe, yes, you are a human being. If you are transgender, you are a human being. The problem where I have isn't like, if there is anything I have wrong with transgender people, it's the way that they react towards certain situations. And a lot of people make you think that that is just part of the LGBTQ. No, I think everybody in the LGBTQ community, plus community, most of them are great. Uh, I think the only one that stands out that distributes a lot more hate than love is the T in the LGBTQ. We've seen a lot of clips. One of those, that famous TikToker or whatever that got in trouble, that was recording in the bathroom, which was very wrong. Definitely shouldn't have done that. But one of my biggest things is like they're okay with somebody in their life, which was their dad, that misgenderizes them, and gets mad at a stranger for not getting it right. And it's like, well, your dad knows. Some people don't, It's just, and to kind of get people in trouble for at their workplace because they made a mistake is not something I'm a fan of. Like, people make mistakes, and that could have been their like third strike, right? Like, that could have been something that they're like, okay, I'm firing you over, because you don't know how the manager's going to react to those certain situations. Because who knows? They either might not care, or they might be like, oh yeah, I'm not having that piece of crap work with me. We don't know how that could work. I agree with Stephen A though on this, where yes, everyone is a human. In this situation, everyone's a human. But there are clips, and there is a clip of a player overseas in a women's basketball league who is biologically a male, and they are kicking everyone else's butt. And you don't think that's going to happen in the W? And I understand a lot of people want to take the stance on, well, like, women can go against men, but we have seen it historically that it doesn't work. High school teams have beaten professional women's teams. Remember the soccer team? They got beat. The women's soccer team got beat by high school. The U.S. national team got beat by high school. That's not good. The fact that high schoolers did it. Speaking of, we'll go back to the Stephen A stuff. but I actually have this saved because it was something I saw. A media personality is offering the reigning WNBA champions, the Aces, $10 million if they can beat the boys' high school team state championship. And the one positive is that the Aces do have the best player in the world in Asia Wilson. So, women's basketball player in the world. Because we know that there are still like Wimby and all those guys. And, let's clarify. But Asia Wilson, I mean, she practices against her boyfriend, Bam Adebayo. So I feel like she would be okay in the situation, but I don't think the other girls would be. Number one, height's a thing. Liz Cambage, I remember she went against, I think it was like a 3-on-3, and she lost. They kept targeting her. They knew that she couldn't make the threes, and they knew that she couldn't guard threes. I think at the end of the day, I think if this were to happen, I think you're proving the point to the people that are saying that they should not be in the league. And so here are Stephen A's full comments. This is a 4-minute video. I don't think we're gonna watch the full thing.
Pro girls, pro females, pro women, pro ladies. That's what this is about.
And I agree. Wait.
You can't be.
That was crazy pause, Stephen A.
A male, born a male, transitioning to female, and think that you should have the right to compete with women. Not in basketball. Not in football. Not in boxing. Not in the UFC.
And to Stephen A's point here, too, there is obviously, we know that I believe it was in college in basketball baseball. No, geez Louise, volleyball in the Mountain West. There was a girl, I believe. There were many girls that said we are not going to play against. I think it was Boise State, because Boise State had a biological male on their team, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not playing against them because if they spike that ball into my face, I'm probably going to get way more hurt than if it was just an ordinary hit from a girl." Like,
Hell, not even in tennis.
And this has been proven. I don't know if I have not seen this clip, honestly. I just saw the caption and I said, okay. But also in tennis, if you guys don't recall, I believe it was Serena Williams. Now, if you guys obviously are living under a rock, Serena Williams probably the best, one of the best, if not the best women's tennis player of all time. Played against, I think, a similar situation, a high schooler or an unranked opponent or something in that nature, and lost. And yeah.
It's an aberration when you find somebody like a Serena Williams serving 120 miles, 25 miles an hour. That's ordinary for Jokic or Jokovic.
Jokic.
That's ordinary for Sinner. That's ordinary for Alcaraz.
I don't know any of these names. I'm assuming they're all tennis people. That's all.
That was ordinary for Sampras.
Okay.
Agassi and all. We got to stop acting like somebody that's speaking up on behalf of girls, like a Sophie Cunningham, like a Riley Gaines, are scourges of the earth. You are Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx.
And in my video, sorry to cut Stephen A off. In my video, I also want to clarify, I believe I said something similar, that Sophie also said that she didn't mean her comments to spread hate towards transgender people. She's just saying that she's trying to protect young girls and women. And I agree. For somebody also, I've gotten a comment or two about this. I have 2 sisters, so I don't want to hear anything about, that I don't know what I'm talking. I have 2 sisters, okay? So I don't want to hear anything that you don't truly support women, all that. No, okay? I have 2 sisters. That's one of the things. Another reason I really support women's sports, because I don't know if my little sister is gonna eventually want to get into a sport. And I told her, if you want to play basketball, play basketball. If you want to do this, do that. And if she has to compete with somebody who I know is going to potentially take her spot because they're going to be better, because biologically they will be. They'll be faster. They'll be stronger. And it's like that is hard to think that like your sibling could potentially not be able to play something because somebody else decided, you know what, I'm going to change what I am, but I want to still compete in women's sports. And it's like, it's just not fair to the women that don't have that same abilities as you.
That is an irresponsible thing to do.
Genetics,
You are a coach for a female basketball team. Do you not think that the females are being screwed over if they have to compete against a individual born as a male? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You trying to tell me that a college player for the men's
I feel like
at a college program anywhere in the country, or an NBA player
this is
should
a crazy
transition
point.
to being a woman and be allowed to compete in the WNBA? Or on a collegiate level to a women's college program? Whether it's UConn, South Carolina, Iowa, Tennessee, or wherever else you want to come up with. What the hell are you talking about?
Something I also want to note is that Stephen A. has been one of the people that have also been talked about potentially being the Democratic nominee, by the way, for 2028. So this probably doesn't help his stock.
It's not true.
Well, maybe to get some Republican votes, I guess, because that's how this always gets divided. It always gets divided.
AJ DeBonza,
just that,
not to throw his name out
politics.
there. Darren Peterson, hell, pick a scrub. If you're a male and transitioning to female, you should be playing against the women. Nobody said you can't transition from male to female. The issue here is competing against the women. That's what Sophie Cunningham was talking about.
Yeah.
That's what Riley Gaines is talking about. How are you, Coach Cheryl Reeve, and you could condone that?
This is the biggest talking point, I think, from this whole thing. That is the whole point they are trying to get across. That is, like, I think a lot of people are trying to take this as a, like we already talked about the fan sign situation, but, like, this is a situation where, like, Stephen A. feels very, like, solid on. Like, Stephen A. is not saying that, listen, your rights don't matter, blah, blah, blah. No. He is trying to tell you, like, and I say you people, I say that all the time, and everybody takes it the wrong way, and I get it. I need to stop you saying it. But, like, especially in this situation, not a good look. But I think what everyone and you viewers watching need to really understand is that I don't think what Sophie meant truly, and listen, I don't like Sophie because I think she comes across kind of bitchy. But, like, I don't think she really meant to make this a bigger deal than it was. Obviously, her comments were going to make it come to this situation anyway. And I think Stephen A. is trying to push that point where it's like, no, guys, like, it's not about you guys having, like, you guys can have rights like everybody else, and we're not trying to say you can't do, like, yes, we're saying that you should not compete in women's sports. It's just like, and not a lot of people use their brain in this situation. Like, let's just be honest. There's not, there's a lot of girls, but there's not that are what? So you're telling me if I'm 7 foot tall? If I'm 7 foot tall, right? And if I transgender or trans figure myself, whatever the terms truly are, into a woman, and I'm 7 something, I can get into the WNBA because I'm 7 foot tall. And I'm athletic enough that I could basically be the Wembanyama of the women's league and be one of the only females and probably the only person that could dunk every day. And I would probably average 17 dunks a game. And it is a disadvantage. So, yes, I think everyone, when they try to push this point in the world of sports, we are trying to say that I just do not think it is fair to the people that want to make this their profession. Like, women in the WNBA, there's already a limited amount of spots. Luckily, they're continuing to expand teams, but that is also supposed to help young girls and women in college and in high school and elementary. Like now that they're want to get into a sport, potentially grow up and get into that position to be on a WNBA team or a PWHL team or a softball team or anything like that, because the world of sports is getting more and more into the women's side of things and making league for women. And you're taking that away if you're adding a lot of people that have advantages to take from those young girls. That's where I think a lot of
and then
people
you're
have
going
the
to come
problem.
out with a T-shirt. No regard for the WNBA. No regard for the sponsors that may be put off by that. No regard for the bottom line that might be.
And this is actually a good point and a good point to start switching off. If you guys want to see the full clip, go to the Stephen A show. It's on YouTube. So like I said, he makes the point. His points. Sophie Cunningham also said this. I said this in my video, and I actually think I start my video off by saying this. This was Sophie Cunningham. I believe it was today.
I think that there's so much good going on in the WNBA. I think that basketball is being played at the highest level it's ever been. I think our team in specific, we are breaking history right now with the amount of points that we're scoring on back-to-back games. I think the Minnesota game, there's just so much distraction. I think the WNBA media, all we ever do is cover everything except basketball. And it's like, what are we doing? There's so much. Like, you can talk about other things. I think those are great stories. I think it shows fans, who people are outside of the court.
Yeah,
but I also think we got to
though.
keep the main thing. And
I don't know. I think I also go in depth on this in tomorrow's video. So I'm not going to go crazy here. Ever since watching the WNBA, as I mentioned earlier, since like 2020, it has never just been about basketball. Ever. Every year it's something new. And you guys might think I'm joking. I am being so severely dead honest. I don't think there has been a year where there has not been drama. I'm being so real with that.
I think
Something
when it comes to the
in the-
Minnesota game, I think there is so much distraction. But like the matchup between
This
Miles
camera
and Kelsey was phenomenal. Our team, I mean, that game in particular was a great game. And so I think that there's a lot to be said, and I'm going to let people just do the speaking for themselves. But for me, I want to get back to basketball. It's always been about basketball. That interview happened in February when I was asked a question. And so for me, I just want to, make sure that it stays, the focus stays where it should, because people are playing at such a high level. We have probably like 3 MVPs that could be MVPs on our team specifically. And so that's why I want to do that.
But they won't.
No, I was asked a question, and that's simply what it was. I just wasn't making a statement to make a statement. And so I was trying to clear the air, and I did that and back in February. And so it is what it is. And like I said, we're in the middle of the season. I'm going to keep it that. We talk about a bunch of distraction. Our team is good. My teammates are good. Our locker room is great. And so now we're just here about to prepare for Las Vegas, and that's where our mind is at.
Yeah, good for you. But see that
I think that there's so much good.
She just comes off kind of just, I don't know. This always comes off kind of mean. But that's it. That's all I really want to get to. It's just like, there's a lot more with you, honestly, that we could talk about this subject for probably the end of time. But that is one thing I've just been annoyed with, is that the WNBA has never just been normal. Whether it's something going on with Caitlin Clark, acting like Caitlin Clark is the only basketball player in the world that is actually worth the damn, even though Asia Wilson's still breathing and still the best basketball player, who I believe could eventually win MVP for another time and for another time in a row. Clearly the best basketball player, and I think that's just somebody who does try to stay out of the drama, the spotlight, as much as possible. It does help when you have great teammates. I think it helps that Asia Wilson has great teammates as well, but and a great coach. They really try to stay out of the drama as much as possible, even though they were centered around a lot of the drama for the last couple of seasons. I mean, I remember they had the Derek Hamby situation and all that. Like, that was some drama that they had to deal with, but luckily they dealt with it. I think that's the one thing that we always need to look at is how things go forward. So, yeah. So, the only other thing I really want to get into now that we're rounding down the time. There are some free agents still left in the NHL, and we're going to look at a couple of them. There are quite a few still that are intriguing names, but we are getting to a point where it's going to look like they're not going to get starting opportunities like right now. It looks like most of them will probably get a call about a potential, a potential tryout, a PTO. That's what we're looking at right now, league minimum. Here is the list of some of the teams and the guys. One of the biggest ones is Patrick Laine. We're assuming he's going to sign probably a PTO somewhere. There's probably a team that is willing to take a big chance on Patrick Laine, put him on that third line, and just hope for the best. Or maybe even have him as just a scratch player that can come in and maybe he could work his way into being in the lineup full time. Logan Stanley, probably the biggest one on this list that is like a foregone yes, is Vladimir Tarasenko. Michael Bunting, I'm actually very surprised is still on this list. Somebody who I definitely think that is a great third, fourth liner on a team that I think he could play on a lot of teams' third lines, and a guy, especially for playoff teams, that might be very, very valuable. So somebody who you definitely want to see. Also a guy who's not afraid to fight. Tolvanen, probably one of the youngest players on this list, 27 years old. Kind of shocked he hasn't gotten a deal anywhere. Another left winger. A lot of wingers on the board. Cam Talbot. I don't see him signing. I don't think I don't think I see him retiring, but he's a guy who we might have to see sit back for a while. Maybe if an injury happens, he gets signed. I can't say his name ever. Anyways, defenseman Blankenberg, another guy who doesn't make a lot, so I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a tryout. James Van Riemsdyk, I swear he signed. Maybe I'm thinking of the other one, but Connor Ingram, another one that I'm kind of shocked that hasn't signed. I feel like Connor Ingram, there was at one point a huge market for him a couple of years ago, or especially like 2 seasons ago, but we'll see where he ends up. Maybe he'll get a deal. David Perron, I genuinely thought he retired, but it sounds like he will be waiting. Maybe somebody will bring him back. Jonathan Drouin, 31 years old, a guy who I feel like some teams might really be interested in bringing in. Adam Henrique, obviously an older veteran player who is going to be on your third line, so maybe you're just kind of interested in that. Maybe a young team maybe takes a chance on him. Especially if you think of a young team that wants to make a push, like a San Jose, I feel like they feel comfortable. But if you want to bring a veteran in, I think that's probably your best bet to have on your top or your bottom pair. Carson Spruce, defensive player, 31 years old, not a bad area. And then James Reimer, I thought he retired, to be so for real. And then on the bubble, you have some other guys like Jeff Petrie, Mike Riley, one of the biggest names. I think Evander Kane. I think Evander Kane needs to try to sign a PTO, and I think that if you can get Evander Kane at a decent minimum, I think it would work out. Riley Smith, some of these veterans, obviously, some of those guys have won cups. Some of those guys have been a part of teams that have made deep runs, and I know for me, I would love to see Riley Smith back, but we just do not have the money. We would literally sign him to a deal that is worth peanuts and Cracker Jack. So that is the available free agents there. Top remaining, I should say, and make sure I specify that top remaining. But as of that, I do not think there is anything else. I think that is it for the news today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, smack the like button. Make sure you share, expand the brand. Watch my video on the WNBA tomorrow. And I need to get my music ready. But I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you like it, comment, favorite, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the king on the court, hear the crowd go wild. Ballin' like MJ, ain't no rookie child. From the jump shot to the touchdown pass, let go my ego, watch me outlast. Got my jersey on, number one, no debate. Crossing defenders, sealing my fate. Fans screaming loud my name in the lights. Every game I play, reaching new heights. You can't bench me now, I'm in the zone. MVP title, yeah, it's my throne. Never folding, I'm bringing the heat. Let go my ego, I never accept defeat. I'm the king, talking sports, reigning supreme. Slaying every game like it's a dream. Never let go of this ego I hold. More than enough for me and my amigos. Go from the diamond to the ice rink, I run the show. All eyes on me wherever I go. You dropped the ball, I caught it all. Save the game when I got the call. From courtside seats to packed arenas, my name's in lights, big screens, big media. Fast breaks, hat tricks, slam dunks, and style playbook thick maneuvers, versatile. Fans chanting my name, yeah, they know my fame. From the kickoff whistle to the victory claim. Coaches, star player, team shining jewel. Never phased, I make my own rule. Give me space, no backing down now. Pressure's on, but never throw in the towel. You being edgy just fuels my fire. Let go my ego, elevating higher. I'm the king, talking sports, reigning supreme. Slaying every game like it's a dream. Never let go of this ego I hold. More than enough for me and my amigos. Go from the diamond to the ice rink, I run the show. All eyes on me wherever I go. You dropped the ball, I caught it all. Save the game when I got the call. Yeah, I'm the champ, the ruling ace. Let go my ego. Winning every race. The sports world's mine. No time to fall. King of the game, hear my victory call.